You're on to Puff Television, and we have the privilege to host one eminent Ekiti citizen, Mr. Bayo Aina, one of the children of a late Commissioner of Education in the old Ondo State, Dr. N.F. Aina. Mr. Bayo Aina is a pioneer, the very first person to start the fast food eatery in Ekiti State, known as Danke Foods.
Thank you for that.
He was a former commissioner in Ekiti State. He's been a banker, and he is today the National Secretary of the Yoruba Leaders of Thought. Mr. Bayo Aina, you're welcome to Puff Television Studio.
Thank you very much, Chief. Thank you. I'm great. I'm happy to be here.
Mr. Aina, in about 1.5 years, or beyond 1.5 years of the administration of President Tinubu, would you really say that this government is doing well and has taken Nigerians from where Buhari left this country?
I think what President Tinubu has done is to actually take us back to where we ought to have been following the introduction of the structural adjustment program of President Babangida in those days. You see, what we needed to restructure was the way we were running our economy. So prior to the introduction of SAP, people needed import licenses to be able to access foreign exchange. And this foreign exchange was determined by the CBN, and it had absolutely no relationship with the market. There are so many areas of subsidies that were hiding, and these subsidies actually hid a lot of inefficiencies in the way we were running things. So the first thing IBB did was to deregulate the exchange market. What should have followed was to take deliberate steps, intentional steps, to boost local production, to boost local manufacturing, to boost local economic activities. But we still found ourselves dependent on importation. You see, what should have happened was that our goods will have become very competitive at the international market. But rather than produce, we kept importing, and federal governments kept subsidizing until President Tinubu came to confront all those issues. Now, if you care to look at it, the number of people that have gone back to the farm now, that are producing rice, tomato, and the rest of them, which were being imported all along, you'll be surprised how much our productivity has increased in that area. Now, and you can almost replicate that in almost every area of the economy. We have to earn a place in the world. We cannot depend continually on importation. Countries that can do so are small countries like UAE and the rest of them. And even UAE has decided that they are not going to be described as an oil-producing nation. They don't want to be called an oil-producing nation. And I was opportune to be in UAE in 1983 as a management trainee of the Middle East Bank. Murtala International Airport was more beautiful than the airport they had in UAE then. But you will see that they were serious people because of the kind of policies they took. They never allowed their consumption to surpass what they could generate. And today they are not just known as an oil-producing nation, they are a center for tourism. They are a big real estate destination for people who want to invest in real estate. The economy is so diversified that if they run out of oil today, their children will not suffer. It's that kind of vision that President Tinubu has for Nigeria, and that we are implementing now. By the second or third year of this administration, we will see what will happen. Nigeria ran an economy where we are comfortable with importing refined oil, for crying out loud. You have your own, you have crude in Nigeria, you cannot refine it. None of your refineries are working. And every year you budget for their turnaround maintenance. You understand? There's so many areas of wastages in this economy. We are now learning. We are now retracing our step. If we are able to build on what we have now, believe me, a very solid nation would emerge.
Gentlemen of the press.
A lot of people are coming up to criticize the government, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's immediate action of removing subsidy, petrol subsidy, at the very point of inauguration.
Thank you very much. A number of people have said that, oh, you should not have waited, you shouldn't have done this, and so on and so forth. But we know that even the 2023 budget did not contain subsidy beyond June 2023. So there was even no provision for it. But beyond that is the fact that since the time of Babangida, they have been saying, we want to remove subsidy. We would maintain partial subsidy. We want to remove subsidy. If we had become used to no subsidy since 1987, I wonder what will be happening in our oil industry now, in our oil sector. Our refineries may probably be working. There will be people who will probably love to invest in our refineries, and our consumption pattern will be different. I understand that for a long time, petrol was being smuggled from Nigeria to as far as Chad, Niger, even Congo Republic, the entire West African sub-region. And why was that? Because it was cheaper to sell that product abroad. Because you access it at a subsidized price in Nigeria, and then you can easily ship it abroad. And virtually a lot of rich people in this country actually made their money from smuggling petrol abroad to West Africa. It's an open secret, we all know this. But that propensity has gone down now. Nigeria was actually subsidizing the whole of the West Africa sub-region.
You spoke about the refineries in Nigeria not working, and you are aware that this president, after assuming office, had made promises, had made pledges that the refineries were working. Dates were given about 2-3 times, and yet the refineries are not working. Whose fault would you say this is?
You see, there's a way that enthusiasm is modified by realities, and I think that's what is happening. There's never been any president in this country who did not promise that the refineries will work. All of them have promised that. Since the Babangida years, we have always had this problem of turnaround maintenance. As soon as it is maintained, it will start working. But I think that this government is more serious, and we should begin to see the effect of those policies before the end of the year. Yes, it is possible they have not met the targets they committed themselves to, because not everything is within their control 100%. But I think they are marching towards it. We should see the results before the end of this year. It is better that the thing is delayed for 6 months now or 3 months than all the empty promises we've been having all these years.
Some people have said that this government of Bola Ahmed Tinubu should have disbanded the board of the NNPC as soon as he took over, not leaving them there to still work with him after Buhari.
Well, that is, those are opinions. And I cannot say they are right or wrong. Those are opinions. But the president must have known or must have seen something in the board, and must have seen the reason why he decided to leave them. Let me digress a little bit by going to the Christian scripture. I'm a Christian. Jesus told the parable of how the children of the world are wiser than, and he spoke about the unfaithful servant. His boss was going to sack him, and he knew his boss was going to sack him. So what he did was to dig a big hole around the boss. He went to all the people who owed the boss and said, okay, you are owing my boss 100 naira. Okay, I will change it to 20 naira. You will take care of me when I leave my job. And he went around like that. And the boss eventually knew what was going on. And he said, okay, stay. But run my business better than you're doing it now. And you can see that kind of scenario in what happened to Sanusi's so-called reform of the banking system. Intercontinental Bank, Oceanic Bank, and so on and so forth. They were literally killed. But what benefit have we received from those policies? A wiser person would have said, okay, all of you, I give you 2 years, recover all the bad loans, and then we'll continue from there. I bet it will have been more effective. But you sacked everybody, and now you are not able to recover the loans. You created an AMCON, and AMCON is battling to recover all the loans that they cannot. So eventually the federal government, that is like me and you, we are the taxpayers, we wrote off all those bad loans because strangers could not recover them. So it is possible to say, leave them there, commit them to some performance benchmarks, and let's see how it goes. It is not always the best policy to just sack people. I remember reading something about Warren Buffett. He said when he invests in a company, if the company is doing good or is doing well, the owners of the company will never even know that he is the new owner of that company because they are doing well. Why should I tamper with it? And when there is need, you just show your face a bit. You don't just go around marching up and down, busy doing all motion or no movement. So that the president decided to keep that team is well known. The reasons are well known to him, and the idea that he needed to change them and he will have assembled a team that will do better is just speculation.
But getting to know now that the NNPC is owing a lot of debt that is currently leading to scarcity of fuel in Nigeria, doesn't that disappoint you as well?
It's disappointing, but all these things didn't start up today. No, they did not start today. Even this is the same Sanusi that I spoke about a few minutes ago. He cried out loud when he was governor of CBN because he knew the kind of rot that was in that system. He cried out, if you recall. So it's a big rot. It will take more than 1 year to just get it done and be on smooth sailing. So some of us are convinced that the president knows what he's doing, and you see he's doing the right thing. Let me give you an insight into the kind of mind this man is working with. You know that the EFCC has recovered so much money without any noise and so on. All he did was appointed one man and said, go and check CBN and every other money making or revenue generating agency of government. And they saw a lot. He did not set up a tribunal like the military did in 1984. He did not make any noise. But because of his background as an accountant and an audit person, he knew what to do, and I think he's doing it. And beyond that is the fact that this is the first person with hands-on understanding of the oil sector. He's the first president with hands-on experience of the oil sector. He was there for more than 20 years before he left for politics.
Would you admit, Mr. Aina, that corruption is at the base of the inefficiency of the NNPC and the inability of our refineries to be working effectively?
Corruption is a big issue. Corruption is like a cancer. It goes beyond the CBN. I mean, beyond the NNPC. It's so much everywhere, and that is why some people are arguing that maybe the federal government should totally separate itself from active involvement in oil production and distribution and just concentrate on taxing those who are producing and refining. Because when you do that, you bring in greater efficiency to the production system. Don't forget, this same Nigeria where 20-something years ago, the Federal Ministry of Industries was the one that was determining the prices of cars. You remember? They would say Peugeot should sell for this much, Volkswagen should sell for this much. But you'll hardly ever get it for that price. Because the people making that pronouncement know that it will only apply to privileged people. But today they have commercialized everything. They have opened up every area. So if you bring your Peugeot in, or you bring your Toyota in, or whatever it is you are bringing in, you determine how much you want to sell it, and people go to wherever it is they think they can get the best deal. So invariably, what may happen, and what I think may happen, is that there will be greater disinvestment from direct involvement in some of this.
You also subscribe to that idea?
I subscribe to it because we have proven that we may not be able to do it. You see, elsewhere, I will quote a place like Aramco. Aramco is the equivalent of NNPC in Nigeria, in Saudi Arabia. Today, it is the largest business in the whole world by market capitalization. And the reason is the efficiency and transparency that they have been able to bring into the running of that behemoth, let me call it that. The problem is that where are you going to get Nigerians to run Nigeria the way it should be managed? The recruitment takes place from among all of us, and 75% of our people think the same way. So you have to look beyond people, and you look at models of structures, business models, and so on, that whoever is running it is interested in the kind of results that will help the society. And there was this economist who said something. He said there are 4 ways people spend money. When you are spending your own money on yourself, the way you will spend it is different from when you are spending your own money on someone else. It is also different from when you are spending other people's money on yourself, and when you are spending other people's money on others. In other words, if I am the chairman of NNPC today, for example, the way I will run a federally owned NNPC will probably differ from if it was my private, if I was Dangote running Dangote. You understand? It may be different. So these are issues that we need to address. Do we think we can run businesses as bureaucrats, as politicians, and so on and so forth? Or should we have a model where people who run it will have direct interest in having it succeed. You know, the Yoruba people captured it very well when they said, Ogota, Ogota, Oalaru Akpe. Now, when Alaru is managing the goods, it will be different from when the owner himself is managing it, is running it. We see several studies have shown that publicly owned corporations carry a lot of inefficiencies.
Atiku Abubakar was criticized during the 2023 presidential election.
He said he would sell those things to his friends, and people criticized him rightly too. We saw how he sold Ascom to his friend in Calabar. That factory was sold for about just 10% of the value. You can find out. So when he boasted I would sell to his friends, people knew where he was going. If the federal government is going to sell or dispose of any of its assets, it should be at a proper price. Not just sell to paddy, not paddy sale, no.
But you agree that the refineries now should be privatized?
Eventually, the reality will make it inevitable. By the time all these modular refineries and the rest of them start, okay, look at the case of Nitel. What happened to Nitel? MTN came, Airtel came, and Globalcom came. And then people just chose whoever they wanted to subscribe to. And Nitel became history. So, the best thing will be at some point, before it loses value more, to find people who are interested, investors who think they can manage it, and let them manage it and run it. And federal government can just say, okay, reduce my share to 10 or 15%, so I can be getting dividend from you, and then do your business. Believe me, there will be enough refineries in Nigeria to supply the entire west coast of Africa. Of course, we have enough oil to do that. And you see, the colonial system has given us a mentality that all exports must be to Europe or Asia or America or so. The West Africa sub-region is a very large market. And anybody that is able to capture it is actually doing well. Even Nigeria itself, with over 200 million people, is a very, very large market.
Now, before now, the population of Nigerians were expecting Dangote refinery to rescue them from scarcity and high rate of fuel. But today we are aware that Dangote private refinery started to have problems. I mean, in its relationship with NNPC. Should it be so?
It ought not to be so. I think everybody ought to have cooperated with Aliko to bring the project on stream. And I think that is what is happening now. Initially, of course, you see, when you cannot just change the status quo without some people who have interest in that status quo resisting. It is normal to face that kind of resistance. But I think it's all being sorted out now. And the most beautiful part of it to me is the policy that crude should be sold to Dangote in Naira and Dangote should sell to Nigeria in Naira. That is the sweetener in the whole thing for me. Which means that Nigeria should not be looking for dollar to buy fuel from Aliko, and then Aliko will now refine it and sell it to us, and then we'll now be looking at dollar, Naira convertibility and so on.
People of the fountain,